I wanted to share with you some tips and tricks on navigating thousands of lines of code in AppScript. This is a blank Google Sheet. We're just going to go over, I'm going to share with you some of the interesting things about AppScript and what are the built-in things that are happening, color coding, things that may be happening to you while you're working with AppScript, but I'm going to explain them and say why they're important. So the very first thing I'm going to do actually is show you that if you have a function and my function, nothing's really going to work. So I'm going to just go over to bettersheets.co/snippets where you can find actual code that I've written. It's very useful. This is OpenAI using the Omni model, and you can call OpenAI with an API key. I'm just going to copy it because that's what it's there for. It's for you to copy and paste directly into your sheets. And when we're creating functions in AppScript, one of the basic things you should know is that it says function, then the name of the function, and then parentheses. And inside the parentheses, you can put some kind of variables. And these variables are then going to be used within your function. But let's say we did not use this variable. And so here we might write text. Immediately, that word prompt here is now grayed out. And this graying allows you to know when variables are not used. It will be a darker black if the variable is used, and it'll be a gray if they're not used. Also, as we're typing, you may see things like this, which are squiggly red lines. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit more. Squiggly red line. This shows you that there's an error that's going to happen. So if I want to save this, actually watch what happens. It says error, syntax error, unexpected token, var, line 8. And the error is occurring on line 8, but one of my rules of thumb is that just look just before it for the actual error and where you can fix it. So in this case, we need to finish this API key variable with some variable. We can put quotes here, single quotes or double quotes, does not matter. Actually, matters for what depends on what's inside the quotes. Like if you want to go, what's up, with a single quote, you want to wrap that in double quotes. So that's a good rule of thumb too. I like using double quotes a lot. Some people like to use single quotes a lot. Also, you can use backticks if you want to include quotes in double quotes and single quotes. You can use backticks here. That's a good rule of thumb. But just know that if you ever see this red squiggly line, all it means is that you're going to get an error here. And that error usually is like a syntax error. You may be ending your lines with a semicolon, and this is from JavaScript. At the end of every line should be a semicolon, and that's from JavaScript. But in AppScript, you don't necessarily have to do that. But if you see a red line under your semicolon, again, right before it, there's something wrong with this variable API key equals, we need something here. So we need something here. And that goes away, and we can also save our function. Another thing with color coding is if you are using built-in functions from AppScript, which are your spreadsheet app, your document app, your drive app, these start with a capital letter, spreadsheet, and they are pink. There is another thing that happens when we have pink, and it's essentially just anytime we start with a capital letter. So if we want to call our function help me Rhonda, and so question, and then we have some response here, variable return response. Now, this function, if we use it inside of AppScript, is going to be this lowercase letters. In fact, we can add something cool here in front of it, which I love to do, which is slash asterisk asterisk at custom function. Actually, let's do variable response equals. We'll just give back the question. Rhonda is not very helpful. So if we save this and we go over here and we go equals help me Rhonda, it's here, but it's lowercase. We want this uppercase. And watch, if I do help me Rhonda in all uppercase, it's pink. That's not a problem in this particular case. Being pink here, no problem at all. So if your text is pink, it just really means that you have a capital letter here. And what that allows me to do when I'm looking through AppScript is see these built-in functions. So I use these a lot, these built-in functions, but you can also create your own built-in functions, right? Help me Rhonda now is a function we can call here, and we can go variable Rhonda's answer equals help me Rhonda question, right? Or put in the prompt from this, right? We can create these functions that we can call, and we're going to also, and if they're capitalized, they're going to be pink as well. So no problem with pink. Another thing that happens that I absolutely love is the autocomplete or this might be called like an intelligence system or IntelliSense. But if we're using, especially if we're using something like spreadsheet app, so instead of a function help me Rhonda, we just want to create spreadsheet app dot. The moment I put dot, this autocomplete shows me all of the possibilities that I can do. So in my case, I just want to write some text, let's say, somewhere, or so I need to get an active spreadsheet. This is one failure of AppScript that I'm going to explain right now, is that this get active spreadsheet must have a parentheses, but it does not automatically put it for you. So again, we can add functions to this get active spreadsheet, add a dot, and we have all of the options. So let's get, and as we type, these will go down in number. So they'll just show you what are the search results essentially. This is insanely awesome. I absolutely live by this. I will just hit tab and look, it auto-completed that very first one. So if I want sheet, a different one, sheet ID, I just hit the down arrow and now I can navigate this and I can say, okay, I want to get sheet values, let's say. Whatever it is, I can navigate that super easy, and it allows me to know without going to the documentation what is available and what am I like trying to do. So let's say get active, get sheet by name. We want to get question sheet, hit dot, and now we have some other options here. We can do things to this sheet. We can get some information. We can even delete columns, delete rows, copy to. We can do all of these cool things here. What I'm going to do is get range, and I just type in get ran, and already get range is at the top, so I'm going to hit tab. But again, one of the failures of this is that you must add parentheses, and if you don't know that, it's going to give you some errors. Get range, get values, let's say. I'm going to try to save this. Might even save it. Yeah, it's going to save it. Let me make sure. Let's say we have here. Don't want it to error because we don't have the sheet. We want it to error because we have this get range. So let's see. Help me, Rhonda. Let's execute it. We do have to review permissions. We have to always authorize. The very first time we ever run a function and we need authorization, it'll ask for authorization. See if we get an error. Yes, we got an error. So type error, and it's telling us exactly what's wrong. But it might be hard to know. So spreadsheet app.get active spreadsheet, get sheet by name, get range, get values is not a function. So it's telling us this entire thing is not a function. I know from experience, and what I told you is that all of these need a parentheses. So I wish this is not a function would be more specific. Focus on the get range part. That will come with time, and also as you're watching this video, you'll now know that everything needs a parenthesis. So first look for that. If, let's say we have a parentheses, but we did get ran instead of get range. So let me run that again. I'll save it and run it again. Let's see what happens. We get the exact same error function. Even though the error is different, we are now not actually naming it correctly. We do have the parentheses, but we don't have the correct name. It still says is not a function. One good thing about this error message is it did change. It says get ran. So it doesn't say get range.get values. So it does really say right there at the very end, we're not correct. Something is wrong right at the end. So that is one interesting thing about the change in errors there. I'm going to actually use this variable question equals. And we have this question is grayed out, as I said before, because we're not using it anywhere. Let's just return log, actually, logger.log. Logger's great built-in function that we allow us to not have to go to the sheet to see what's going on. But let's run this and see if there's any other issues. We have got the get range, we have the parentheses, we have whole get range. Let's save it and run it. If you know already what the problem is, yell it out. We're going to get an exception. The parameters don't match the method signature for spreadsheet app sheet get range. Okay, I know what the issue is, but let me give you a hint. It does have to do with get range, but it is a very hard to figure out error code, right? This is just saying exception, the parameters. But it is giving you a clue in the parentheses. The parameters parentheses don't match the method signature. But the answer is that we need a range. We need a range of, let's say, A1. And let's go here and say, this is the question. And so we want that text there into this log. So let's run it again with an A1. Everything's there. We get an actual response. So if you are working with AppScript and you're new to it and you're getting these errors should be giving you clues in some way, shape, or form as to what the actual error is. If it's a syntax error, it will actually not allow you to, most of the time, not allow you to save. So that might be frustrating. If it is like some undefined, like maybe we added questions here, and you'll see right away, question here is gray. So that should give you a clue, but we'll save it. The whole syntax here is correct, but we are going to get, I think, some error. Yeah, reference error, questions is not defined. So this is telling us this particular variable, questions, is undefined, meaning there's nothing there. We don't know what it is. It doesn't refer to anything. But you're looking at this and you're like, variable question is here. It is, the problem was the S. So if we add, let's say, a capital S or even a capital Q, this is also going to give us an error. And if you see it's not dark pink, it is a little bit of a light pink. Let's actually save it. And you'll see there is a problem. Let's say it's actually questions. Let's save it and run it again and see this error. Yes, we get an error. Even though it is questions and questions, our capitalization is wrong. And in AppScript, capitalization is very important. We need it to be exactly capitalized the same way. We can, if it's capital Q, we can change either one. I think this will still work. Let's run it and see. Yeah. So they just need to be the same. But that graying out or even the light pink is going to allow you to get that clue before you save, even as you save and it saves correctly because there's no syntax errors. That will be helpful to you as you code. So I want to also point out that anywhere that my cursor is, it's going to highlight a gray, and it's highlighting the word, but it's also highlighting every other place where that word occurs. Not if we actually, including, even if we just highlight the letter A, it is highlighting in blue, but this doesn't mean that it's active. So if we go down and find something like response, this helps us see where is response used. So again, I mentioned, if we don't use a variable, it's going to be grayed. But if we do use a variable and we're like, we want to know where this variable is used, we want to, maybe it's 100 rows later or 1,000 rows later, we can see here. If you look also on the right side of the bar, it gives you another clue where the other occurrences are. So that black line is where we're viewing it. And so we now are out of the view of the first one, and we see here. We now see, I guess it's a little grayer or purplish color where that other question is right there. So let's say we used variable questions as well here. We just wanted to log that there. Notice I highlight questions. It doesn't highlight it in the right side, but it does highlight it in the text here. One cool thing about AppScript that I want to mention is a keyboard shortcut, either Command D if you're using Mac or Control D. What this allows us to do is select every that's highlighted here. So if I select questions and I want to actually type, I want to rename this. Instead of questions, I want to say question. I can do Command D, and now I have both of these selections selected. I can hit Command D again and I have this one selected. See, so I can select as many as I want, as many times as I hit Command D. And now I can move the cursor and it's moving them both places, or all three places, or all four places, where however many you selected. And I can hit the delete. Now it's question. Save. So I'm saving a ton of keystrokes by doing this. And maybe I have to rename this one as well. See, it's the same exact letters. So it's going to be selected. So that's one thing you have to watch out for, is it will select all of them. So if we like get range, let's see if there's other ranges. There's no other ranges, right? So this allows us to see what other things that are the same name, and allows us to select it if we use Command D or Control D on a non-Mac. Let me show you an exact reason why this is really cool. So let's create more variable questions, and it's like question 1, question 2, question 3. We want A1, A2, and A3. We're getting all those values off the same sheet, and we want to, though, maybe we screwed up and it's actually just one value in here, not get values. And if you notice already, I just have my cursor on get values and it's already highlighting the other occurrences. If I double click on it, I'm hitting Command D twice. Now, if I hit delete, it's deleting the entire thing. I'm going to hit Command Z to undo that. But I can hit the left arrow. Now I'm at the front. Go over to the back. I am accessing all three of these at the same time. Hit delete. We have now fixed that issue very easily instead of having to delete the S off of each and every one of those. That's really cool. It will also start auto-completing if we start writing variables. So this question here is the wrong variable. So I want to start writing question, and you can see all 3 variables here. So this is IntelliSense inside of our app script, inside of our own thing. We've created these variables, and now it's helping us. Did you mean one of these? Yes. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm actually going to combine these. So I'm going to say questions plus that, plus a space, plus question 2. Maybe a little bit simpler. If we just want text, it's okay. But maybe we want an array of these. Question 1, comma, question 2. I'm just hitting down and selecting it. So it's very easy to type these. Let's actually get another question. Yes. We can run this and see they're all there. Awesome. So I hope this was super helpful to navigate through AppScript. If you have any questions, feel free to ask anywhere on bettersheets.co. If you're watching it on bettersheets.co or anywhere else, I'm happy to answer more questions about navigating AppScript. I think these tips and tricks are going to improve the speed at which you code and the ability for you to code very easily. You may have to copy paste lots of code. You may have to change lots of variables, and this is how you do it very quickly. I'm so excited that you got through it all. Bye. Thank you.